The courtroom in downtown Chicago had seen darkness before, gang lords, dirty politicians, even serial killers. But nothing like today. There was something different in the air, tense, electric, a silence that wasn't quiet, but waiting, like the walls themselves were holding their breath. People filled the gallery, not just legal clerks and reporters, but strangers too. People who didn't know why they came, only that they couldn't stay away. Some said it was the case. Some said it was the child. Others couldn't explain it at all. At the heart of it was a man, Ethan Reed, a decorated firefighter, a man once called a hero on the evening news, a widower, a father, and today a defendant on trial for the murder of his wife and attempted murder of his 6-year-old daughter. Across the room sat little Lily, her small frame swallowed by the oversized court bench. Her shoes dangled above the ground. She wore a pale dress and clung tightly to the thick fur of the old German shepherd beside her. His vest read, "Trauma Canine, Max," but it was his eyes that told the truth, calm, watchful, protective. Lily hadn't spoken to a human in months, but to Max, she told him everything. Ethan's defense team looked smug, well-paid, confident. They leaned back in their chairs like the outcome was already written. The house fire had been called a tragic accident. The fire marshal's report mentioned faulty wiring or possibly a space heater. And Ethan, found unconscious outside the burning home, had been hailed as a survivor. But things changed when Lily survived and Max listened. The judge's gavel cracked the silence, calling the room to order. The prosecutor stood, a woman with eyes like chipped flint and a voice that didn't tremble. She walked to the jury and spoke not of evidence, but of motive, of greed, a debt so deep it smelled of gasoline and death. She told them about the insurance policy, $2.5 million, taken out just 5 months before Julia Park died. Her husband, Ethan, had upped the coverage twice. He had forged her signature on the documents while she was in the hospital, recovering from a fall she'd blamed on slipping in the kitchen. Only now, it seemed less like an accident and more like a warning. The jury leaned in. The gallery held their breath. Then came the moment no one expected. Lily stood to testify. She was small, frail, but when she walked to the witness stand with Max by her side, it was as if the whole world shifted. The judge allowed Max to sit with her. She gripped his neck like a lifeline. The psychologist knelt beside her, speaking gently. "Lily, sweetheart, can you tell us what you remember about that night?" Lily's lips trembled. Her eyes flicked to her father across the room. His expression was cold, distant. Then she looked at Max. He nudged her hand. She nodded. "We were coloring, Mommy and me. She was mad. She found papers in Daddy's drawer. She said he lied, that he made her sign something without telling her." The prosecutor stepped closer, gently. "What happened next?" "Daddy came home. Mommy yelled. They fought. She said he was going to jail for fraud, that she was going to the police." Lily's voice cracked. Her little fingers twisted into Max's fur. "He got quiet, scary quiet. Then he hit Mommy. She fell. She didn't get up." The courtroom froze. You could hear the creak of a wooden bench somewhere in the back row. Even the reporters stopped typing. "He looked at me, picked me up, took me to the closet in the hallway. He locked the door, said if I screamed, I'd burn too. I stayed quiet, just like he said." Her voice grew even softer, barely a whisper. "I smelled something, like what we use at campfires. Mommy once said never touch it. It was on the floor. I heard the sound of a match." Tears streamed silently down her cheeks. "Then there was fire. I could see it under the door. I couldn't breathe. I was scared, but I didn't scream." Max leaned his head into her lap. She hugged him tightly. The psychologist asked, barely above a whisper, "Did your daddy ever say anything about money?" Lily hesitated, then nodded. "He told Mommy she was worth gone, that the insurance would fix everything." The courtroom exploded in gasps. The judge slammed his gavel. Ethan shifted in his seat, his eyes darting to the exits. He looked exposed, no longer a hero, but just a man who tried to burn the truth away. The prosecutor turned to the jury, her voice like ice now. "Let me tell you what Ethan Reed did. He was drowning, not in water, but in debt. 2 mortgages, a repossessed car. He saw a way out, and it had a name, Julia Park, his wife. She trusted him, loved him, and when she found out he'd forged her signature, he knew the walls were closing in. So he made a choice. He poured gasoline through their home. He knocked his wife unconscious and locked her daughter in a closet, hoping the flames would cover his crime. But Lily lived, and Max listened." The trial went on for days. The defense tried everything, claimed trauma had confused Lily, argued Max couldn't really understand her, but they were grasping at smoke. A neighbor came forward, saying Julia had confided in her just days before the fire. She'd said Ethan was acting strange, that he was watching her sleep. A gas station clerk testified, not just about the fuel, but the look in Ethan's eyes, flat and cold, as he bought 2 full canisters. But the final blow came when Max's trainer, a retired military handler, explained how the dog had alerted hospital staff to Lily's stress patterns whenever Ethan entered the room, how Lily only spoke when Max was near, how she whispered the truth night after night into that dog's ears. And that truth lit a fire no gasoline could hide. Ethan took the stand. His voice was calm, too calm. He told a story about a broken heater, about trying to save Julia, about smoke and chaos, and being thrown from the porch when the roof collapsed. But his words rang hollow, a prepared script he no longer believed. Then the prosecutor leaned in and asked, "Do you love your daughter?" He hesitated. "Yes, of course." "Then why did you leave her to burn?" Silence. "Did Lily say you told her not to scream or she'd die? Did you say that?" More silence. She stepped closer. "Was the money worth it, Mr. Reed?" His eyes flicked to Lily, and that's when he broke. "I didn't mean for it to happen that way. I couldn't breathe. The bills, the pressure, it was all too much. I thought maybe if I could just reset everything." "You thought killing your family was a reset?" "I didn't mean to hurt Lily." "But you did. You locked her in, you lit the fire, and you left." He broke down, face buried in his hands, but the tears were too late. The jury left. 72 minutes later, they returned. Guilty, on all counts. The judge sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And Lily? She never looked at her father again. She left the courtroom with Max by her side. The same fire jacket that once belonged to Ethan now draped over the dog's back, his name tag cut off. Outside, the sun was setting. People whispered her name. Some wiped tears, but Lily just walked forward, one hand resting on Max's back. A little girl with no mother, no father, but the courage to speak when it mattered most. She had survived the flames, and with Max, she would never be alone again. Because sometimes, the strongest voice in the room is the one that never screams. If this story touched you, don't scroll past. Subscribe for more powerful stories where silence finds a voice, truth breaks chains, and justice finally speaks. Your next heartbeat might belong to the unheard.